Right then, here we go. 5 things we learned after one of the most boring games, but I actually have some things that are worth talking about. So stick back, pin and back, and let's get into it. Number 1, SHORETIRE makes history. On a night when there wasn't a lot to talk about, it was a special occasion for SHOLA. He made his European debut in the final 15 minutes of the game. And in the last 5 days, SHOLA has made his Premier League debut, and he's also become the youngest Manchester United player to ever represent the club in Europe. Quite the feat. Once the likes of Paul Pogba and Cavani are back in the squad, I think it's pretty unlikely that SHOLA's going to remain in and around the first team. But the experience that he's going to have got by training with the first team, playing at Old Trafford, getting minutes in proper competitive competition, whether that's Europa League or the Premier League, is definitely going to stand him in good stead as he goes forward. So congratulations to SHOLA. Let's hope that we see a little bit more of him. But I do want to see a little bit more of him when he's actually on the pitch as well. Number 2, Bailly must start. We've been saying this for how long now? Eric Bailly is potentially United's best defender when fit. But that caveat of when fit is real. And I think that the reason that he probably is eventually going to be moved on is because the guy can't stay fit. And it's a nightmare for him because he's fantastic. Last night, against Sociedad, he completed 100% take-ons, 100% of his aerial duels, 91% pass accuracy, completed 3 out of 4 attempted long balls. He also made 6 ball recoveries, 3 clearances, 2 interceptions, and he's once again staked a claim that he is the best defender, certainly the best centre-half, at Manchester United. Lindelof and Maguire evidently played better when they've got someone with pace alongside them, and I also think someone who's got a real defender's instinct about him, which is what Bailly's got. Bailly needs another run at the game, run of games in central defence. It's simple as that for me. I hope he plays against Chelsea. Number 3, another clean sheet for Dean Henderson. Okay, yeah, it was a terrible game in terms of how boring it was. But it wasn't terrible necessarily in terms of a performance from Dean Henderson. It was a pretty quiet night, but he didn't put a foot wrong. And he definitely, I think, has the capability to replace David De Gea. I think him and De Gea are very, very different sort of styles of goalkeepers, but I think Manchester United's style of play has evolved or changed enough where you can really make a case that Dean Henderson suits Manchester United better than David De Gea currently suits Manchester United. This isn't taking away anything that David De Gea has done for Manchester United in his career. But the team has evolved. The way the team play football has evolved. And our requirements from a goalkeeper are not to stand on his line and save shot after shot after shot anymore. We need a goalkeeper that's going to patrol his area, maybe even come out of his area to deal with early balls when we've got a high line. We need someone that's going to take crosses because Manchester United are getting peppered with crosses at the moment. We need someone that's just a bit different to the characteristics and capabilities that David De Gea poses. Now, last night, Dean Henderson only had 1 save to make. But the most impressive thing about what he does is the communication and marshalling of his back line, something that De Gea simply doesn't do. Those who are in the ground were listening to him constantly berating, talking, communicating with his back line for the full 90 minutes. And for me, that is a department where he is unquestionably better than David De Gea. He's kept 4 clean sheets in his last 5 appearances. And yes, of course, the opposition that we're playing comes into that. But you're telling me that West Brom are better than Real Sociedad? I don't think they are. I think he should be given more time to impress. I think if you saw a run of maybe half a dozen games in the first team, we could all really start to assess him. And that's back-to-back games. Premier League, FA Cup, Europa League, whatever the competition, Dean Henderson. I just don't think he's going to get that unless there is an injury to David De Gea, which obviously I don't want. So how is he going to get this time? I don't know. But all he needs to find a way. Number 4, Matic was a solid stand-in. Matic is definitely on the downslope of his career, and his prime was probably a few years ago. But the quality that he's got and the quality that he brings when he's in a dressing room and on the pitch is huge. And I think he has a positive impact on those that are around him. He looked solid again last night while filling in for the injured Scott McTominay and Paul Pogba. Maintained a 93% pass accuracy, which is nice to see. 7 ball recoveries, completed 5 of his attempted long balls, completed all 4 of his attempted take-ons, which is mental, isn't it, for someone of his age, and made 2 interceptions. The Europa League should provide a great opportunity for those fringe players like Matic to get more minutes under their belts, to maintain some sort of match fitness, because you're only a couple of injuries away from having to throw some very untested players in the mixer. I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't see Galbraith alongside him instead of Fred last night, I think Galbraith brings a lot of the same sort of energy and tempo and dynamism that Fred does, and I think if you'd have played him alongside Matic, Matic is going to talk him through the game. I didn't think that Sociedad was going to ruffle us too much, so I thought it would have been a very sensible game to give Fred the night off and to find out whether Galbraith's good enough. He's looked phenomenal in the 23s. He's also playing international football for Northern Ireland. And I thought it was a bit of a waste not seeing if he could do it in the first team. Because if we get one more injury, whether that's Fred, whether that's Matic, whoever it is in midfield, you're going to have to play Galbraith unless you move somebody else out of position, which he kind of did last night with Tuan Zabi. If you're not going to test the guy, you might as well get rid of him. Because for me, I think he's at least earned the opportunity to see if he can do it. Is he good enough or not? We'll never know unless we play the guy. But for me, I think he's earned the opportunity. And not only that, seeing what he's doing at international level for Northern Ireland tells you that there's a hell of a player in there. So I was a little disappointed last night. In fact, no, I wasn't. I was pretty disappointed that he didn't get any sort of minutes last night, because I think that there's a real player in there. And he's just not going to see his potential if he's not given the opportunity to show what he can do. And finally, on to the last 16. Now, yes, it was a boring game, and yes, it was a struggle to keep my eyes open while we watched it, but the only thing that matters is the progress. And the progress is United are into the last 16. We are currently odds-on favourite to win the Europa League. I don't know what all that's about, but we are. And there's some real tasty teams that are left back in the draw. Now, we're probably going to be putting this out around about the same time the draw happens, so you lot probably already know who we've got. I don't know who we've got yet because the draw is in about 25 minutes as I'm recording this. The likes of AC Milan, Arsenal, Tottenham would not be straightforward opponents. I think the likes of Rangers and Molde would be probably quite intriguing games that we could have. There's not really many other teams in there that I go, yeah, bring them on because we'll smack them around. They're tricky. Certainly over two legs they could be tricky. But considering the other 15 teams that are in the competition, I don't necessarily look at someone and go, oh, they'll definitely pace us. I look at tricky games, but not unwinnable games. United should view this as a chance for some silverware this season. Even though there is still a long way to go, I think United could get through it. And I think we could be picking up silverware. And as much as I think the board will probably tell you Solskjaer needs to finish inside the top four, I think from United fan perspective, we need some silverware. We're currently on one of the longest streaks in recent history without a trophy, and it's 3 years currently, which is not a long time in the grand scheme of things, but that just shows how successful Manchester United have been even through a pretty lean period post Alex Ferguson. Solskjaer's going to need some silverware to go along with the tangible progress that he's making everywhere else as manager. And the Europa League represents an opportunity to do that. Agree? Disagree? Let me know your thoughts on last night's game, our potential opponents, which now you know about, and also how you think we'll get on against Chelsea at the weekend. And if you'd like to support the channel, get some extra content and meet up with a group of like-minded Reds, and we'll be starting up the Patreon five-a-sides as soon as Boris gives us the green light again, then hit the link below, come and join the Patreon group, support the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters.